and merciful.
Times 5 pence.
A very warm welcome to you.
And furthermore, I will put it to you that Jesus was not a Christian.
There's a spiritual hunger, and the reason why the spiritual hunger is there, because cocaine can't fill it. Having endless sex can't fill it. Money can't fill it. There's a cry in the spirit, but only God's spirit alone can fill that.
If I stepped on your shoes, you probably want to, get a knife and kill me.
I wouldn't have done that thing. I never would have done that. I'm above that. In the late 19th century, Prime Minister Gladstone of this country stood up in Parliament with a Quran in his hand. And he said to the rest of the people in Parliament, you take this book away from the Muslims, you would have defeated them.
The West Indian culture is a mess simply because our culture has been given to us by another race. So we're still searching and finding ourselves.
Why am I Roman Catholic or Protestant or Seventh Days Adventist when, if I trace my roots back, my people were Muslims. And this, I think, is bringing a lot of youths to Islam.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah.
Yeah, great education. Yeah. Because it's Friday, you find people who's praying over here. Awesome. So, this is one of the overspill rooms, like on Friday.
All the men's upstairs, the women downstairs. Right. Separate again. Because Islam doesn't encourage mixing of sexes.
Very interesting.
You want to be a Muslim today? Because a Muslim is one who has to be very careful. Who he meets, who say they are Muslims, who say they are not Muslims, where they want to take you. So you got to be on your P's and your Q's. You know what he told Allah? When he seduced Adam, he said, I will intercept them from before them, from behind them, from their left, from their right, from above them and from below them. Those on the straight path.
Dawah is basically the call to Islam. And that is something which, as Muslims, we have a duty to do. Individually, collectively, we have a duty to convey the message of Islam and call people to the example of Islam.
A Muslim goes from day to day and you observe, you see things, and if it's not good, you talk about it. You become sorrowful about it if you can't talk about it. You inform people, give advice to people, if they listen. And basically that's what we do. And some people listen and they're benefited by the advice. Some people don't want to, you leave them alone.
It is the duty of every Muslim to spread the word of Islam. But yeah, patience, constancy, all of this, it has to be combined to get through. Because if you were to lose your cool or lose, do something erratic, then you failed. Because this person might have been that close to Islam, and by your reaction or your ways, you can send them far away from it.
Because there's a very strong statement in the Quran, it's La ikraha fi din. There's no compulsion in religion. You don't impose Islam on anybody. Islam is based on 5 basic principles, which which are known as the tenets of Islam. The first one is to believe in Allah, to believe in the Prophet Muhammad والسلام, as his final messenger. The second pillar of Islam is that Allah says, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu wa amilu saliyat. Those who believe should establish the prayer. You find a Muslim pray by making certain postures, He stands up, he ruku, he sujood, like this. He sits up in jalsa, he sujood, and he gets up. No other human being can pray like this.
Islam is a widely followed way of life, religion. And we're looking at, what, close to 1 billion adherents. And so if you're looking at something on that scale, clearly it has to be fairly comprehensive. It has to be all-encompassing.
The question that I have is, why are there so many different sects within Islam? I mean, if it's supposed to be a way of life, why are there Sunnis and black Muslims and so forth? Where do they all come from?
My discussion is about choice.
Yeah, but it's still a case of making a choice. Somebody may choose to be, say, a black Muslim, and will disagree with something, say, the Sunnis may agree with.
Disagreements will always happen because no two people are alike in intelligence. You cannot change if you are black, and when you become a Muslim, you cannot be white. So this issue of black and white Muslims is something almost natural. You will have them. But when you talk about Sunnis and Shiism, this is the way some people understood the Quran and others who understood it differently. But the unit is that they are all talking about the same book, the same religion. The difference is in interpretation, and this will always remain. And that is not the problem.
Some are right and some will say some are wrong. So how could one who doesn't know about either one then choose correctly?
In the Arabic calendar, there's a month called Ramadan. It means the month of heat. In this month, the Muslim fasts for 29 or 30 days. They fast from about 2 hours before sunrise in the morning until sunset. Even the good things of life, which is lawful, you abstain from it. From food, from having sex, intercourse with your wife.
One or two of the individuals, some of them still around in the community today, came across Islam, I'd say largely through the developments in the States, through Malcolm X, through the Nation of Islam. These people, they actually raised awareness of Islam, if you like, on the tail of the black awareness development. And as a result of that, I mean, people, one or two people anyway, I mean, began to ask what this thing was, what it consisted of, and obviously with charismatic figures like Malcolm X around, I mean, it was very easy for us in those days, I mean, to pick up on this very quickly and start to, develop on this side of the Atlantic. So our day starts before dawn, and this is the time of the first prayer, the dawn prayer. And at this time of year, I mean, that's around 5 o'clock in the morning. We start with the prayer, and after that, we would read from the Quran and other literature connected with Islam and our understanding of it. In other words, we would start the day remembering that we're Muslims and fulfilling that obligation that we have.
وسع كرسيه السماوات والأرض
ولا يؤوده حفظهما وهو العلي العظيم.
غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Allahu samad, lam yalid wa lam yulad wa lam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Prayer is your connection with your Creator, with Allah, God, the one God. Allahu Akbar. My first real thought for Islam was in the island of Cyprus, where I was once stationed. In the Turkish quarter one evening, myself and some friends were just having a stroll looking at the town because we had just arrived. And I heard the call to prayer. There was this man standing on top of a white building, and he was shouting at the top of his voice, but there was a melody to it. There was something, so we stopped and we listened. And I could say that was my first real exposure to Islam, and I began to question from that point onwards. I accepted Islam in London in 1977 at the Central Mosque. At the time, the building was under construction. And during this time, I worked at a reputable fashion store in the West End. I met there one of my old friends one day just along the street, who is now Hamid. And he told me he was a Muslim, which was amazed. I was amazed. So we got together, and from previous experience, he always had what one called a spiritual leaning. And he wanted to bring something to our people because it was felt that there was something missing in our lives. So we spoke, and eventually he introduced me to one brother, Kamaluddin Muhammad. And it was decided that we'll go to Brixton, which was, at that point in time, the center of the Caribbean community in Great Britain, as recognized as this. So we'd go and we'd try to bring the message of Islam across to the Caribbean people.
You come into Islam, you understand that Islam forbids consumption of alcohol, consumption of taking drugs, eating certain type of food, living a life which is not consistent with the Islamic code of conduct. And as you go along, you learn about these things, and you adjust your life. You adjust.
What's the situation regarding damages then? Where are we going to seek compensation for the lost revenue and the inconvenience and all the rest of it to us?
I'll show you the property and then.
Alright.
It doesn't change the fact that we haven't had the housing when we should have had it.
I, along with other Muslims, got together and realized that really we were in difficult circumstances. Because what we found is many of us were living in isolated areas. And being at that point sort of one of a very few, you really had to be sure about your beliefs to continue, because you were being subjected to all kinds of difficult situations regarding the practices and Islamic practices and performing certain rituals. They'll find themselves in situations where they're unable to do it because of the housing circumstances. They're finding discrimination, sometimes harassment, and many people that I know were thrown out from their home because parents or aunts or uncles in some cases refused to have nephews or whatever, sons and daughters practicing, and they felt that it was some heresy, or they were praying to something that they couldn't understand. So the idea was to throw them out.
I lived at home a few days, up to a few days ago. I was about 13 or 12, something like that, when I first heard about it. But at that age, I didn't really take it seriously until about a year ago. I realised it was something to take serious. Then I decided about 2 months ago that I'd like to become a Muslim. Well, when I told Mum at first, she said it's up to me. She didn't really say anything. It's only when I started going to the mosque, and that's when it started. She used to follow me around the house, argue with me about it. First thing was getting married, having more than one wife. She said she wouldn't really want that for me because it should be one man to one woman, and she's quoting from the Bible. The basic problem is she just doesn't want me to practice it in her house. So, as I said, that I'd only have to leave, and she said yes. Well, I go. So she said that so I should go and don't bother to come back.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم It's just a barrier between her and her daughter where understanding is concerned. And I feel that, you know, we as the community, we should protect and try and help the sister out. And more so, we should also try to help her mother. Hello? Yeah, that's your daughter? Yeah, I was wondering, well, we find her a bit disturbed as one of our new Muslim converts. And we thought that maybe we should, you know, to try and bridge the gap between parents and daughter, maybe we can have a chat with you.
I would like my daughter to have to go and live in a relationship like that.
No, there's, you see, the thing is, there's a complete misunderstanding where that is concerned. And you find people not knowing about Islam, they come to all sorts of the wrong understanding or conclusions where these second and third wives are concerned. Yeah? Unless you understand this, you will know that one wife is more so advised than four. Yes? And so, where these things are concerned is, unless you're a Muslim, would you understand these things? But anyhow, let's leave this till tomorrow. Yeah? And we come back to you tomorrow and see if you feel the same way. Okay? Thank you.
Morality is Islam. You wouldn't want to see your mother advertising bath soap naked on TV.
Yeah, I see.
Exactly so. I want to see my mother doing that, so how can I enjoy next woman doing this? This is Islam. You know? Drink but don't drive. You know? Take drug but do it in private. Homosexuality is legal, it's lawful. You know, in private. Use a condom. You won't get AIDS. A'udhu billah. We say we seek refuge in Allah from the accursed shaitan, my friend.
Maybe that program on Saturday should have involved or should have included a woman in it so that they could have seen the woman's view.
That's right, the point of
you
view.
know, and then maybe that will at least soften their hearts.
Why does this happen? I mean, is it because the people that are in charge do not have the same...
They don't have the knowledge, they're ignorant, they don't have
right.
the level of understanding that some of the followers have, and so this could be one of the problems.
Yeah.
But you see, we have to realize that when we are in Islam, we're dealing with Muhammad and not Chauvin.
This is it. Muhammad and Allah.
As per se man. Physical man.
Yeah. Polygamy was there before Islam. All Islam has done is to curb it.
That's right.
To have a quota, and that's it, 4 and no more.
We are a product of this society, and the women who enter Islam have already entered with an idea of their inferiority or their perception as sex objects and so on and so forth. I mean, they come to us, or we come to each other, I mean, with these, conceptions already well in place. And so already working from a position of disadvantage when it comes to redressing that balance. In Islam, ideally, we see the woman as having an active role, in society, which is in no way, inferior to that of the man. But what we don't pretend is that, men and women are exactly the same. Only women can bear children. We don't necessarily say that it is only the woman who can rear children.
As time goes by, the individual make adjustment. You want to be a Muslim today?
I'll go, yeah. I'll take the induction.
Okay, well, there's only one thing left to do is to bring you in the fold of Islam, inshallah. And I'll ask you just to repeat after me. Ashhadu أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله تكبير الله أكبر تكبير الله أكبر تكبير الله أكبر. Welcome to the fold of Islam. You're a Muslim. Congratulations. I give you first to congratulate you.
Assalamu alaikum.
The sister is just on time. We see who brought you here. This is your two new Muslim brothers.
Alhamdulillah.
It's like it's a new feeling. It's refreshed. That's how I feel right now, anyway.
Well, it was a new experience. I wasn't actually really expecting this much, really. Just like a different being come over me, different feeling than I usually would have when I wake up in the mornings. I'm just feels different. I'm more aware. I feel more aware.
Meaning you have now, from this moment on, I mean, you got a clean sheet. It's like you hear people talk about being born again. This is the real born again. Because, you know, it's like everything you've done previously has been, Allah has wiped it all away.
It's like having a white sheet that you hang it up there, my friend. There's not a soil on it. And if a fly passes through, it sticks, it spots it.
I came to this country when I was 10, and the social system that was here, it made me rebellious, and I started to get into trouble, and I ended up starting pickpocketing. And so I began to be known by the police, so they began to pick me up for theft, attempted theft, suspicious person. And during all these times I was in and out, you know, 4 months out, 2 months in. And there was a Guyanese brother that was in the prison at the time, and I noticed that he had a Quran. By chance I went and I asked him. And again, by chance, he was leaving the prison 2 days to come. And he offered it to me. One day, it was actually on a Friday, and I was preparing to go Jummah. But I hadn't actually taken the declaration of Shahada. I was walking, and the thought alone stopped me. It said, okay, today you choose. Either you accept Islam, or you continue the way you're continuing. And I had to stop and think about that thought. It just happened. And from there, I walked to the mosque and I took my Shahada.
Brothers and sisters in Islam, you are about to witness a new Shahada. Someone has decided to make Islam his way of life. After a person embraces Islam, all his past sins are forgiven. Regardless of how evil the person was, he need not to worry, all his past sins are forgiven. Without any further delay, we'll go straight into the Shahada. I bear witness to the fact that there is nothing in the heavens above, nor the earth below, which deserves to be worshipped, except Allah. And I bear witness to the fact that Muhammad is his last prophet and messenger. You are now a Muslim, you are now entering into the fold of Islam.
In my past life, you know, people selling drugs and, you know, buying guns and drugs and those sort of things. You know, in my past life, I don't, you know. When I just want to leave that behind, you know, a different person now, you know. You know, other brothers, other black brothers, you know. And some of them died, you know. You know, and I don't want to make the same mistake as they make.